If you want to see reactions to this series, follow our sponsor, Yaboyrocklee, in the description of this video.
The story begins with the heroes heading to the royal capital after defeating the Demon King. They assume the city is celebrating their victory. Himmel, the hero, mentions they need to find work once they return. Despite defeating the Demon King, they realize they still have their entire lives ahead. Frieren, the elven mage, agrees, and Himmel notes that her life is likely longer than they can imagine. The heroes receive cheers as they enter the capital. The king thanks them for defeating the Demon King, ushering in an era of peace. Everyone celebrates into the night. After the celebration, Himmel declares their adventure is over. Heiter is surprised it's been 10 years. They reminisce about challenges, like almost getting in trouble for disrespecting the king, and Frieren falling for a dungeon trap despite warnings. Himmel admits, despite the hardships, he enjoyed the journey. Frieren mentions it's only been a decade. Himmel says it's a long time, and they watch meteor showers. Heiter explains their era meteor showers, occurring once every 50 years. Himmel suggests it's a perfect start for a new era. Frieren promises to show them a better view next time, planning to reunite in 50 years. As the era meteor showers light up the sky, Himmel wonders about her plans. Frieren reveals she'll collect spells and travel around the central continent for the next 100 years. She plans to visit occasionally and leaves. Heiter admits he can't grasp what being an elf is like. Himmel thinks 50 years might be trivial to Frieren. The years pass and Frieren embarks on global adventures collecting spells. Several decades later, Frieren seeks a shadow dragon's horn for summoning and goes to a shop without success. Recalling the hero's party defeating a shadow dragon at the Demon King's castle, she realizes Himmel held onto the horn. Frieren's eyes glisten under the luminescent glow of the era meteor showers. Frieren returns to a transformed royal capital. Despite 50 years passing, she looks unchanged. They go to Himmel's house to chat, reminiscing about the era meteor showers. Frieren inquires about the shadow dragon's horn, and Himmel reveals it's been emitting an evil aura in his cabinet all this time. Frieren suggests storing it into a shed, but Himmel values the treasure from a friend and returns the horn. Frieren and Himmel join Heiter and Eisen to watch the era meteor shower. Heiter, now a bishop, appears dignified, while Eisen remains unchanged. Wondering why they're leaving in the morning, Frieren explains the destination is a week's walk. The others tease Frieren about being harsh on the elderly. During the journey, they encounter and easily defeat a monster, reminiscent of the old times. Upon reaching the destination, Himmel, with the bittersweet smile, thanks Frieren for the adventure. 50 years, just a fleeting moment for you, Frieren, but a lifetime for us. Finally, they all enjoy the beautiful meteor showers together, and Himmel appreciates the beauty of the moment. The scene shifts to Himmel's funeral, where everyone pays their respects. Heiter believes Himmel was happy in the end, while others find Frieren seamlessly heartless for not showing sadness. Heiter reassures her that they're not displaying sorrow either, and they proceed to bury Himmel. In a heart-rending scene, Frieren's stoic facade finally crumbles, revealing a torrent of unspoken sorrow. She regrets not making an effort to know Himmel better. Heiter leaves for the Holy City, suggesting it might be their last meeting. Frieren wonders if he's sick, but Heiter reveals his years of drinking have caught up. He asks her to offer a drink at his grave in the capital. Frieren questions if Heiter isn't afraid of dying, and he believes that adventurers who defeated the Demon King have a good afterlife. After Heiter departs, Frieren decides to continue her journey, expressing a desire to learn more about humans alongside collecting spells. She invites Eisen to join, but he feels too old to swing an axe. Frieren leaves. 20 years later, she gets lost near the Holy City. A girl in the woods offers help. Frieren explains she's searching for Heiter and is surprised to find him alive. She brought liquor to offer at his grave. Frieren questions the girl's identity, and Hyter introduces her as Fern, a war orphan from the southern lands. Hyter questions why Frieren visited him, and she explains she was in the holy city to pick up some things. She expresses a desire to know the people she met in her travels better and mentions owing Hyter a lot, so she returned to repay him before his death. Hyter makes a request, asking Frieren to take Fern as a mage disciple due to her potential. Frieren hesitates, fearing an apprentice mage might easily die in battle. Hyter then shows her a grimoire from the tomb of Wig the Sage, rumored to contain spells of resurrection and immortality. He wants Frieren to decipher it. Although Frieren can do it, she mentions it will take 5 to 6 years. Confused, she questions why Hyter, who claimed not to fear death, wants her to decipher it. Hyter admits he was putting on a brave face earlier and now fears the death more. He requests more time and asks Frieren to teach Fern magic in her spare time. Frieren agrees. The scene transitions to Frieren finding Fern alone in the woods. Fern wonders if it was hard for Frieren to locate her. Frieren notices Fern's incredible mana control, but realizes her mana and firing strength are lacking. Fern attempts a spell but fails to hit a distant rock. Frieren asks if Fern loves magic, and Fern admits she does in some way. Frieren reassures her, saying she is similar, and explains the training will take time. Time passes with Frieren assisting Fern's training and deciphering the grimoire. They share fun memories, forming a bond. One day, Hyter inquires about Fern's training process, and Frieren proudly shares that in just 4 years, Fern has learned more than what was most to take decades to grasp. Hyter notes Fern spending all her time in the woods and assumes she loves magic. Fern humbly mentions she still has a long way to go. Suddenly, Hyter collapses, and the scene shifts to him in bed with Frieren by his side. Hyter asks her not to be too sad, mentioning it's a miracle he was mobile until now. Frieren vows to decipher the grimoire more quickly and rushes to Fern, asking her to pause her training as Hyter needs her. Fern, worried, expresses her determination to hit the rock before Hyter's death, as he saved her life. The story then flashed back to when Hyter saved Fern from attempting suicide. He shared his own experience of losing a friend who never abandoned anyone in need. Hyter explained that while he tried to live peacefully, he realized he needed to contribute to preserve courage, strength, and friendship in the world. He encouraged Fern not to let her precious memories disappear. Back in the present, Fern tells Frieren she doesn't want Hyter to regret saving her and aims to repay him by learning a skill. Frieren reassures her and advises her to remember everything she's taught as Fern continues her research and training. After completing her research, Frieren informs Hyter that the grimoire didn't contain spells for bringing back the dead or granting immortality. Hyter admits he knew that, stating if such a spell existed, Wig would have used it on himself. Hyter asks Frieren about Fern's progress, and Frieren mentions she's now a proper mage, though still a bit rough around the edges. Hyter acknowledges that Fern won't hinder Frieren anymore. Fern realizes Hyter tricked her into researching the grimoire to buy time for her improvement, feeling a mix of disbelief and gratitude. Hyter instructs Frieren to leave with Fern that night, expressing his limited time and a desire to spare Fern from another loss. Fern urges Hyter to drop the brave face, acknowledging she's been prepared to say goodbye. She encourages him to make more memories with her. Later, she questions Hyter about why he saved her, and he explained it's what Himmel, the hero, would have done. In another scene, Fern successfully hits the targeted rock. The story then shifts to Frieren and Fern paying respect at Hyter's grave before embarking on their journey. They take on various adventuring jobs, like helping a farmer harvest pumpkins and receiving a spell as payment. Fern shares their recent spells, including turning grapes into sour ones and removing rust from bronze statues. Frieren reveals her hobby of collecting spells, expressing a somewhat similar love for magic as Fern. The scene transitions to them taking a job from an old herbalist to clean the statue of Himmel, the hero. The herbalist mentions the village was saved by the hero long ago, but now the villagers seem indifferent. The old lady expresses sadness seeing the hero's statue in disrepair. Frieren recalls that Himmel spent 18 hours choosing a plain pose for it. Frieren cleans the statue, feeling it lacks color. Attempting to use magic to create a field of flowers, she realizes blue moon weed would be best. Fern, unfamiliar with the flowers, learns Frieren can't conjure what she hasn't seen. The old lady mentions an elven mage in the hero's party. Frieren decides to find Blue Moon Weed, explaining they grow in Himmel's hometown. Fern questions her ability to conjure unseen flowers. Later, the old lady reveals the flowers once thrived in nearby woods but disappeared for decades. Fern suggests looking for them, but Frieren notices Fern hiding seed rats, pests that consume seeds. Fern releases them in the woods, hoping to find the flowers for spell analysis. 6 months pass without success, and Fern suggests expanding the search area. Fern visits the old lady alone, who wonders if they found the flowers. Fern admits they haven't found the blue moon weed, expressing concern about Frieren's extraordinary obsession with magic. She believes a talented mage like Frieren shouldn't waste time searching for something that might not exist. The old lady gives Fern a bag of seeds, suggesting she discussed it with Frieren. Fern shares this with Frieren, proposing they plant similar flowers from the seeds. Frieren questions how long Fern's soon is, and a seed rat steals the bag, prompting the girls to follow it using magic to trace its footprints. During their pursuit, Fern asks Frieren about her spell collection hobby. Frieren mentions it started with someone complimenting her gathered spells. Arriving at the seed rat's lair, they find a blue petal, triggering Fern's memory of Himmel, expressing a desire to show her blue moon weed someday. Frieren discovers a bunch of blue moon weed, expressing disappointment that Himmel took too long to show them. She analyzes the flowers and grows them around the hero's statue. The old lady, surprised to see blue moon weed again, thanks Fern for this unexpected reunion. The script closes with Frieren and Fern embarking on new adventures. Their bond deepened, and Frieren's understanding of humanity enriched. The final scene fades out on a contemplative Frieren gazing at the stars, musing on her journey with humans, realizing that in seeking spells, she found something more valuable: understanding and compassion.
Thanks for watching! Remember, give Yaboyrocklee reactions a subscribe in the description of this video.